Feel like Superman with his cape on. You know what I mean? Lab every day. Hashtag lab every day. It's your boy, the network. And today's topic is subsection 3.2 F Foxtrot DHCP protocol operations. This is a subsection under the section 3.2 identify IPv6 addressing and subnetting. This is a topic in the CCNP ROUTE Exam, exam code 300-101, version 2.0. Let's take a look at the exam blueprint, see where we came from and where we are headed. All right, it's the exam blueprint. Implementing Cisco IP routing, version 300-101. We just wrapped up DHCP relay and server. And today we are doing DHCP protocol operations, section 3.2F. After that, we finally going to wrap up IPv6 and move on to configuring and verifying static routing. I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting a little tired of IPv6 and it ain't even fully implemented yet throughout the world. But nonetheless, we are going to wrap this section up and move on to static routing. Today we're doing DHCP protocol operations. Now, basically, we're just going to go a little deeper with DHCP, IPv6 flavor of it. We talked about what DHCP is in the past couple of videos, in the past, I'd say, yeah, 2 videos, as you can see. In case you haven't seen them, DHCP is basically a service that is on a router or switch, layer 3 switch, that hands out IP addresses to clients on the network. The clients on the network needs IP addresses to communicate. And this is basically the IPv6 version of it. IPv6 is the successor to IPv4. And there's hella more addresses available in IPv6 because we ran out of IPv4 addresses. In short, so we're not going to really do any hands-on today. We just gonna go over a little bit of theory, and I'm gonna try to explain to y'all, most of the stuff that you could look into if you really want to by just running Wireshark in a topology that has DHCP. However, I did not have any topologies, nor did I feel like building one for y'all. We just gonna be discussing a little bit of theory and a couple commands. But I'm not going to do any configuration. I did some DHCP configuration in the last video. If you want to get more into that, we did some DHCP configuration in this section right here as well, and that section. But that was IPv4. Those were the IPv4 flavors. Today we're just discussing theory of IPv6 DHCP, or they call it DHCPv6 is the correct term for it. So. Moving right along. We've discussed the messages, router solicitation and router advertisement. Now, router advertisements, I believe it is, are propagated throughout the network or echoed throughout the network every 200 seconds, right? And devices, as soon as they come online or as soon as IPv6 is enabled on them, whether it's a client, like a router or a PC, as soon as they get on the network and they're enabled with IPv6, they send out router solicitations, right? We have the solicitations and advertisements. Now, in this case, we're going to be discussing the router advertisements. As you can see, router A over here is, or host A right here says, are any routers on the link? That's a solicitation. The answer is the advertisement from A and B. He says, I'm a router, I'm a router. So in this case, we've got 2 routers in our network. According to from the vantage point of host A, a router sends out router advertisement packet saying, "I am the router you are connected to. And use this prefix for any packets which should be delivered to outside networks." So I'm sorry, these guys, host A and B, are saying that to A, host A. So the router A and B are saying that to host A because he sent the solicitation. They sent them advertisements, right? There's just a little bit more information on what's in there. Like I said before, it's sent out every 200 seconds. They're automatically sent out of router interfaces if IPv6 unicast routing is enabled. As soon as you type in this command on a router, you essentially turn it on IPv6. Then you're going to start sending out advertisements every 200 seconds, right? And then what's in there is this information: the link prefix, prefix length, default gateway, link MTU, and suggested IPv6 address method, whether they want to use Slack or just a stateful DHCP. Now we're going to go further into the suggested IPv6 address method. Before we do that, let's discuss the ICMP version 6 message format. This is basically IPv6 version of ping, really. And when you send out a ping or ICMP message, this is the format for it right here, right? Now we need to pay attention to this little darker green field right here, the auto config flag. This tells you whether they need to use stateful or a stateless DHCP service. If we break down this field right here, the auto config flag, we talked about it in the last video. We didn't talk too detailed into it. We're going to kind of talk a little bit more about it. There's the N flag, as you can see right here, and the O flag. That lets you to know whether it needs to be stateful or stateless. If you don't know what that is, go to the last video, I believe it is. Yeah, last video where we talked about the difference between the two. Basically, managed means we need to use the stateful DHCP server. We need everything. We need our IP address. We need our prefix. We need a DNS server. We need all that information to be given to us by a DHCP server. Go ahead and give it to me, buddy. I need all of that. I don't have none of it. The O right here, or stateful. No, I'm sorry. This is supposed to say, other. Stateful is really stateless. Other flag lets you know that it's going to be stateless. I already have an IP address. I just need a DNS server. I just need leasing information. I just need, whatever, domain name, something. I need other information. That's where the O flag come in, right? And then this part of the field is reserved. We're not going to really discuss that. I think that's more of a CCIE topic if you want to go deeper into that. So this is what we concerned with right now, the auto config flags. Now, the thing about this field right here, I'm not too sure. There's also an A flag, right? We're going to discuss that as well. One of my favorite professors and one of my favorite authors in when it comes to, Cisco technologies and networking is Professor Graziani. He had a bunch of slides I went over and did not see him mention the A flag. We're going to go further into that as well. So, like I said, we got 3 flags, the A flag, the M flag, and the O flag. Now, I know this said 2 flags, right? But please be advised that there is also an A flag. Now, you can see right here, any college football fans that are out there, you let me know what those flags are right there. I'll give you a bonus giveaway if anybody's watching. I did this in the last video. I had one guy answered. He ain't even respond. I mean, he answered, but he didn't really want the gift, I guess. But whatever. Anyway, if you know what these flags are, the college football flags, go ahead and put the answer in the comments below. Anyways, the O flag, like I said, is the other configuration flag, and we've got a managed flag and the A flag. Starting to sound like a broken record right now. So the O flag suggests stateless. So this is how I'm gonna remember it. Y'all remember along with me. Remember, this is my learning journey, and I'm just sharing it with y'all. And y'all can remember how I remember it, or you can or if you've got some suggestions, put the comments in the below. Other, less. We need some more information. So we have our IP address that we've configured with like EUI64 and our prefix. We just need some other information, because we are less of it, or I don't know, minus. We need some more information anyways. So the other information could be DNS, like right there it says DNS information. We may need a domain name. We may need some leasing information. We may need, I believe there's other stuff on there. I don't know too many other options, but there are some other options. I believe lifetime. Well, that's leasing information. When I figure that out, I'll put it in the notes below. So it's either going to be on or off, right? In binary, 0 is off, 1 is on. So when there's a 1 in the O bit, they call it the O bit or O flag. When there's a 1 there, this is turned on. When it's set, it indicates that other configuration information is available via DHCP6. So that's given to us through the router advertisement. right? And once we receive it, that's letting us know, oh, there's other information available. You need to know some DNS information, we've got it. Well, there's another DHCP server on the network that you can get that information from, and we configure that statically or manually with this command below. We go to the interface on where we're going to be sending out our router advertisements and type in IPv6 ND for neighbor discovery, and then other config flag. That's how you manually set the O flag. Now there's different combinations, and we'll go over that in a little bit. There's the managed address config flag. That's the M flag, right? As you can see on the top right, M flag. You know what that is. If you watch college football, whatever, or college basketball, suggests state full. I remember it by managed full. Managed, I don't really see any kind of correlation, but that's how I remember it. Those two words. That's why I did it in red right here. Managed full. Suggests a stateful DHCP server, which means if you ain't got none of that information here, I'm going to hand it all to you. So we set it manually at the bottom right here, IPv6 ND managed config flag. Remember, if it's off, it's a 0. If the N bit is turned on with a 1, then the M flag is set. When set, it indicates addresses are available via DHCP version 6. So this will keep track of all the IP addresses that are handed out and how many leased, how many we've got leased, how many are, state list doesn't keep that information. The other config, any DHCP server, they don't manage their IP addresses. You don't want to do this on a large network, obviously. You want to do this on networks where you don't really care about tracking your IP. You're not too concerned with IP addresses because they auto-generate themselves. I don't know any other applications, but I would think, you'd want to manage your hosts and IP addressing pool. But there is, if you're not too concerned with that, you have this option. But there's also this option where you want to keep track of your leases and stuff like that. Maybe for a public network, if you got a Wi-Fi network and if you have a public network and you don't really care about, the IP addresses that are coming onto the network or whatever. Like you have a coffee shop or something like that. You got a Wi-Fi, you're not too concerned with it. You let them, get on the network for a little bit, and you don't really care about you don't really manage their IP addresses. So if you do have the answer to that, please put it in the comments below. Notice I'm asking you for comments and suggestions and stuff like that because, again, this is my learning journey. Don't take this information with a grain of salt. I go back and watch these videos and learn as I'm watching myself, and I'm picking out my mistakes and be like, okay, I remember that point, and and I watch these, I listen to these in my car, believe it or not. So yes, I'm a crazy dude, but that's just me. That's how I learn. And plus, they say if you are able to teach, then you are actually learning as well, and it helps you, understand the topic. So it's either off or on with the 1. It's either off 0 or on 1 bit. And if the M flag is set, the 0 flag is redundant and can be ignored because DHCPv6 will return all available configuration information. So you're not going to have, you could have an M flag and an O flag on, right? And I'll show you what happens with that. You could actually have 2 IP addresses if you do that, but we'll go over the combinations in a little bit. You can manually set it with IPv6 ND manage config flag. That's how you manually set that flag. Then there's the A flag. What's that? Give you a clue. That flag right there. Roll Tide. My girlfriend from Alabama, so whatever. This flag tells the host that they can create an address for themselves using the prefix advertised in the RA. Remember, we talked about that in the Slack video. The RA is the router advertisement. So if the host has not made any solicitations yet, he may get an advertisement from a router in the network, right? Saying, hey, this is the prefix. You got the prefix now, and then you can come up with your own address, the second part of the address, with EUI64. If you don't know what that is, There's another video on that. Go look in the CCNP playlist. That's basically how that's basically him chopping up the MAC address and then creating the second part of an IPv6 address. That's EUI64. So anyways, this flag tells the host they can create an address for themselves. So go ahead and use Slack. But here's the prefix, and then create their own interface ID, which is the second part using EUI64 or a randomly generated one. If the M flag is set, the O flag is redundant, just like we said. I'm starting to sound redundant. It's just like what I said over here. If the O flag is set, it's redundant and can be ignored because DHCPv6 will return all available configuration information. Now, if the M bit is set to 1 as well, so now we got the M bit and O bit, the client can obtain multiple IP addresses. That's why sometimes you can see with IPv6 interfaces, you can have like 2 or 3 IP addresses, believe it or not. And it could be helpful, for security reasons, maybe. Redundancy is, IPv6 is really robust technology. So shout out to the creators of that. Okay, so here's the different combinations. Again, Professor Graziani kind of let me down with this one because I was like, is there an A flag or not? Now, this is what the different combinations, the one we are missing are with both 1 and 1 at the bottom, where the O flag and the M flag are set, right? So we got option 1, where Slack, no DHCP version 6. This is default. Where 0 for the O flag, 0 is set, the 0 bit is set on the M flag. That means you're just going to use Slack. You don't even need me as the DHCP server. You do your own thing. You come up with your own IP address, right? Option 2 is Slack plus stateless for DNS. So that means we got the other. Remember, we need other information along. So that means I came up with my own IP address as a host, but I also need some DNS addresses, some DNS domain names and stuff like that. The O bit has to be set. That'll be 0. And then the last option, I believe there's a 4th option because of both bits being turned on. All addressing except default gateway. Use DHCP version 6. That means you need everything from the DHCP. You come online, you be like, damn, I need a prefix. I need a whole IP address. I need DNS information. I need to know what addresses are excluded. I need some leasing information. I need everything. The M flag needs to be set. Right? Now you might be asking yourself, who would this be coming from? Myself or the router? This information, as you can see, is RA message options. So this is information coming from the router in router advertisements. I used to think, like, is this something that could be done? You can kind of manually set it on I believe, like Windows hosts and modify this information. But for the most part, us learning as networking professionals, we are concerned with router advertisements and what the router does as far as IP addressing is concerned. So all these bits and stuff is set in the router advertisement, as you can see. So we got, remember how in the DHCP version, IP version 4, we talked about DORA, right? DORA stands for discover, offer, request, and acknowledge, right? And we talked about Dora the Explorer and stuff like that. In DHCP version 6, it's SAR. I couldn't deal with this. I just took the words and just made that acronym up right there. I ain't make it up. It's just that's the order it come in. As you can see, S for solicit, message from the client. So this is equivalent to DORA. So just think of the S for D, A for O, and then R for R, and then the last R for the A in DORA, right? So you can pause this, freeze frame it, whatever. Solicit is a message to the client to locate servers. Advertise is server to client. Request is client requesting the stuff. It's like just like It was just like request in Dora, and then reply is kind of like the acknowledge in Dora. And that's the message from the server containing it saying, hey, you like this information? Okay, go ahead. Here go your IP address. Not all these messages are going to be used if they're using stateless, right? Because the host is going to be creating his own IP address. So, and I'll show you, the full, there's other messages too, like relay for like DHCP relays. We talked about what relays are, right? There's a relay forward message. I'll show you all of them. As you can see, there's numbers beside these, right? But what are we missing? We're missing what? A 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7, right? What happened with those guys? Well, these are the orders they come in. But again, there's other messages that are optional. That's why they ain't here. But those are the required ones to get an IP address when it's state full, right? When we need all of our information from the DHCP server. Okay, so since we ain't come up with a we ain't got no character. We got a character for Dora the Explorer. I figured it was only right to come up with a character or somebody so we can remember this stuff when we get and sit down for the exam. We need something for SAR. So I tried to do a little search, and the best thing I could find was this guy right here, a Senegalese soccer player. Give it up for Ismaila, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Sarr. Ismaila Sarr. He is a Senegalese footballer who plays as a winger. We call it soccer over here in the United States. But anyways, this is the guy we're going to remember when we need to remember DHCPv6 request messages and stuff. So we're going to remember this guy, Ismaila Sarr, since that his last name is the same thing as solicit, advertise, request, and reply. I told you I'll be coming up with these, crazy, analogies and pictures and stuff like that so we can remember it. But, if y'all watching this stuff, y'all going to be like, oh, yeah, Ismaila Sarr. I remember what R is. That means request or whatever. All right, so these are the full messages, optional ones as well. As you can see, sometimes you might want to get decline, maybe for like, I don't know, I guess like a duplicate address or something like that. That message might come through. I haven't really experimented fully with DHCPv6, and I'm not gonna make pretend I know what those are. You got what else? We got release. So I believe that'll come through when you type in ipconfig/release on a Windows host, right? And you can release an IPv6 address. That is why these other numbers was missing. We got renew, rebind, reply, release, information request, decline, confirm. Go ahead and pause it and freeze frame it here if you want to. But that's why not every one of the ones we really needed to know were these guys right here. SAR, solicit, advertise, request, and reply. Other ones are optional, or it's not necessary sometimes. And that is the end of the slideshow. Again, we're not going to do any hands-on today. I thought about doing some hands-on, looking for some topologies that are, that we can experiment with the messages. But for now, just you want some configuration information. We talked about how to manually set the M flag and the O flag using these commands right here. O flag right there, M flag right there. How do you automatically set this flag right here? Do you remember that? Pop quiz. I believe, I'm not going to make pretend I know, but I believe it's if you set both the A and the O flag. So that means, yeah, that's what it is. You got to put both this command and that command there at the bottom. That'll set the A flag. If you set both of them, then you'll get 2 IP addresses, believe it or not. So anyways, if you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe. Please, if you don't like it, comment, like, subscribe. I really would like some feedback on these videos. Shout out to, again, Dewan Lightfoot for, give me a lot of subscribers and stuff like that. A lot of people have been checking for me, and I really appreciate that. So I guess once I reach a certain number of subscribers, I'll do another giveaway if anybody's still watching. For now, comment, like, subscribe to the network.